The deep space scanner beeped softly on the bridge of the Zephyrian vessel Crystal Dawn. The ship's captain, Vorthak, moved his tall, crystal-like body toward the screen. His people were known throughout the galaxy for their clear minds and sharp eyes. They could see things others missed. "What is that?" Vorthak asked his science officer. "Unknown vessel, Captain," the officer replied. "It appears damaged. No life signs detected. Bring it closer. We should investigate." The alien ship was small and silver. It had strange writing on its side, letters that looked simple but carried a certain power. The Crystal Dawn pulled the damaged vessel into its cargo bay using gentle energy beams. Science teams rushed to the bay. They wore protective suits because they did not know what dangers the ship might hold. The leader was Krethar, the best scientist on the ship. His crystal body glowed blue with excitement. "Careful," he warned his team. "This is a new species. We know nothing about them." They cut carefully into the ship's hull. Inside, they found strange technology. The computers used different systems than anything they had seen. The walls were covered with images of a blue and green planet. "Look at this," called scientist Whelm. She pointed to a large room filled with frozen chambers. Most chambers were empty and broken, but one still worked. Inside lay a creature unlike any they had studied. It had pale skin, dark hair, and 2 legs. Its hands had 5 fingers each. "This must be a specimen," Krethar said. "We must study it." They moved the chamber to their medical bay. After setting up all their machines, they carefully opened it. The creature inside was alive but sleeping deeply. The being woke up slowly. Its eyes were brown and moved around the room with fear. It tried to speak, making strange sounds. "Can you understand us?" Krethar asked through his translator. The creature responded, but the words were new. The translator worked hard to learn the language. Finally, it spoke in broken Zephyrian. Where am I? My ship." "You are safe," Krethar lied. "You are on our vessel." "What are you called?" "Human. I am Dr. Sarah Chen, xenobiologist from Earth." The human coughed badly. "The air, I cannot breathe." Krethar's excitement grew. A xenobiologist was a scientist who studied alien life forms. This human studied others just like they did. "We will help you," he said, but it was too late. The human's body was not built for their atmosphere. Even with their medical machines, Dr. Chen died within minutes. Her final words were strange. "The nanobots. They will know." The Zephyrians looked at each other. Nanobots? They had never heard this word. "Captain," Krethar called through his communicator. "We have lost the specimen, but this is a great discovery. A completely unknown species." "What do you want to do?" Vorthak replied. "I request permission to perform a full medical study. This human had knowledge we need. Their body might tell us about their people." "Granted. Use the secure lab on deck. 7. The secure lab was the safest place on the ship. It had thick walls and its own air system. Nothing could escape from there. Krethar was careful because he respected the dead being. They placed Dr. Chen's body on the examination table. She looked peaceful, her brown eyes now closed forever. The scientists gathered around, each with different tools. "Let us begin with careful scans," Krethar said. "We will learn what we can without damaging the body." The first scans showed amazing things. The human had a heart that pumped red blood through the body. Her lungs were different from theirs. Her brain was smaller, but very complex. "Look at this muscle structure," said Whelm. "Very dense, very strong. And these bones," added another scientist. "They show signs of healing from breaks. This species can recover from major damage." As they worked, they found more interesting details. The human body seemed built for survival. Every system had backup systems. Even the skin could heal itself. "Captain," Krethar called again. "This species is remarkable. They are built for survival in ways we did not expect." "Explain," Vorthak said. "Their bodies can survive massive trauma. Their brains process pain differently. They seem designed for extreme situations." The scientists worked through the night cycle. They took careful notes about everything. The human body held many secrets. But as morning came, something was wrong. The lab's computer systems began acting strangely. Error messages appeared on screens. Security sensors reported tiny movements near the body. "What is happening?" Krethar asked his team. They checked their equipment. Everything seemed normal, but the computer continued to report impossible readings. "Sir," Whelm said with worry, "the body temperature is rising." "That cannot be," Krethar replied. "She has been dead for 8 hours." When they looked at the body again, something made them step back. The human skin seemed to have a very faint glow, too faint for most to see, but the Zephyrians had sharp eyes. "Is this normal for this species?" a young scientist asked. "We do not know what is normal for them," Krethar admitted. The lab's main computer suddenly spoke. "Warning, unknown nanoscale. Activity detected." The word nanobots echoed in Krethar's mind. What had Dr. Chen meant? What were nanobots? As they watched, small lights began to appear under the human skin. Like tiny stars in a night sky, the lights moved and danced. "Everyone step back," Krethar ordered. "Seal the lab. Alert the captain. Immediately." The scientists rushed out quickly. The heavy doors closed behind them with a solid sound. Through the observation window, they watched the lights grow brighter. Inside the sealed lab, Dr. Chen's body lay still on the table, but now it glowed with thousands of small lights. The nanobots she had mentioned were awakening. The Zephyrians had thought they were studying a dead specimen. They had no idea they had just awakened something that would change their understanding of life and death forever. In the silence of the lab, the lights pulsed like a heartbeat, and somewhere in the quantum space between the nanobots, memories stirred. The memories of a xenobiologist who had spent her life studying aliens. Now she would study them back. The lab's systems reported temperature rising, electromagnetic activity increasing, cellular reconstruction in progress. But the Zephyrians could not hear these warnings. They were already running to find their captain, to tell him that their simple dissection had become something far more dangerous. Behind the sealed doors, Dr. Sarah Chen began her greatest experiment yet. And this time she was both the scientist and the subject. Captain Vorthak rushed to Deck 7. Behind him followed his top officers and security team. The hallway lights flickered as they moved. Something was wrong with the ship's systems. "Krethar," Vorthak called through the intercom. "Report your status." "Captain, we have a situation." Krethar's voice came through. He sounded worried. "The human body is doing something we do not understand." Through the observation window, they could see Krethar and his team watching the sealed lab. Inside, Dr. Chen's body was glowing brighter. The small lights under her skin moved like tiny storms. "What have you found?" Vorthak asked. "Many things that should not be possible," Krethar replied. He held his datapad with shaking hands. "This human body breaks all our rules of biology." Krethar began to explain what they had discovered. First, the heart. It has 4 chambers like some animals, but it can pump blood even when severely damaged. The muscle fibers can contract with unusual force. He showed them images on his pad. Second, the bones. They show signs of healing from multiple breaks. But the healing process is faster than any species we know. There are tiny channels in the bones for quick repair. "What about the brain?" asked the science officer. "The most interesting part," Krethar said. "The brain has extra pathways for processing pain. This human could stay conscious during injuries that would kill most beings. They seem designed to survive extreme situations." Vorthak studied the glowing body through the window. "And now?" "Now we see why they survive so well," Krethar continued. "The human body contains billions of microscopic machines. We think she called them nanobots." The security chief stepped forward. "Machines? Inside a living body?" "Yes. Tiny machines smaller than our eyes can see. They exist in every cell. Even after death, they still work partially." Whelm pointed to her scanner. "Captain, these nanobots are interfacing with our computer systems. They're learning our language, our codes, our ship design. That's impossible, Vorthak said. How can dead machines learn? They're not dead, Krithar replied quietly. They were dormant. Our examination woke them up. Inside the lab, the body began to twitch. Small movements in the fingers and face. The lights under the skin grew brighter and moved faster. Captain, Whelm said with fear, I'm reading massive data transfers. The nanobots are downloading our entire scientific database. Cut the connection, Vorthak ordered. We've tried, sir. They've created connections we can't find. It's like they're using the lab's own systems against us. The ship's main computer suddenly spoke in multiple voices. Warning. Foreign nanoscale entities detected. Warning. System infiltration in progress. Warning. Data breach confirmed. Through the observation window, they watched Dr. Chen's body sit up slowly on the examination table. Her eyes were still closed, but her head turned toward them. The Zephyrian stepped back from the window. How is this possible? The security chief whispered. I checked the ship's records, Krithar said. In her final moments, Dr. Chen was conscious for 17 minutes after we thought she died. She was watching us, learning about us. The body moved its hand to touch its neck, then its face. The movements were strange, like someone learning to use their body for the first time. Sir, Whelm reported, I'm detecting reconstruction at the cellular level. The nanobots are rebuilding damaged tissue using materials from our lab. What materials? Vorthak asked. Everything. The air, the table, even the walls. They're breaking down molecules and rebuilding them into human tissue. Dr. Chen's body slowly opened its eyes. But something was different. The brown eyes now had small lights moving in them like stars in the night. Can she hear us? Vorthak asked. As if answering, the body turned its head directly toward the captain. It pointed at him, then at Krethar, then at each person in the room. Captain, Krethar said slowly, I think she's counting us, learning who we are. The body stood up from the table. It moved awkwardly at first, then with more control. It walked to the lab's computer and placed its hands on the screen. Immediately, the ship's systems changed. Lights flickered everywhere. Doors opened and closed randomly. The elevator stopped working. Even the food makers began producing strange substances. She's taking control of our ship, the security chief shouted. No, Krethar corrected. She's learning about our ship, everything about it. The body removed its hands from the computer and turned to face them. It opened its mouth and spoke. But the voice was wrong. It sounded like many voices speaking together. We know you now, it said in perfect Zephyrian. You dissected one of us. We have seen through her eyes. Dr. Chen? Vorthak asked carefully. Sarah Chen is part of us. We are connected. All humans are connected. You have awakened the network. Krethar's crystal body shimmered with confusion. What network? Every human who dies joins us. Their memories, their knowledge, their experiences. We carry them forward. Sarah Chen studied life. Now she shares everything she learned from you. The lights in the lab began to change color. The nanobots were converting the metal walls into something else. Some parts became soft and organic. Others looked like diamond crystal. What do you want? Vorthak asked. To understand. To learn. To protect. The voice grew louder. Humans spread across the galaxy long ago. We have been waiting, watching, learning. You are the first to wake us fully. Whelm's scanner beeped rapidly. Captain, I'm detecting human vessels throughout Zephyrian space. Ships we thought were destroyed are sending signals. That's impossible. We checked all those areas, the security chief said. You checked for life signs, the voice corrected. You didn't check for us. We wait in the spaces between life and death, in the quantum links between nanobots. Each human death makes us stronger. Vorthak felt cold fear run through his crystal body. What will you do with this knowledge? What we have always done. We preserve. We remember. We protect. The body smiled, but it was not Dr. Chen's smile. But now we know of you. You who dissect others for knowledge. The lab system suddenly shut down completely. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. The body of Dr. Chen stood in the middle of it all, glowing with inner light. "You wanted to learn about humans," the voice said. "Now you will learn. We will teach you about survival, about persistence, about what happens when you wake something that should have stayed sleeping." Outside in the hallway, the Zephyrians looked at each other with growing fear. They had come to study a simple alien body. Instead, they had awakened something vast and ancient and connected. Inside the lab, Dr. Chen's body began to change more rapidly. The nanobots were rebuilding not just her body, but the entire lab around her, creating something new, something alive. And somewhere in the quantum network that connected every human across the galaxy, billions of memories stirred. The humans were waking up. All of them. The Zephyrians had sealed the lab to contain one body. They had no idea they had just opened a door to the entire human race. Captain Vorthak had seen many strange things in his years of space travel, but nothing like this. The ship's lights flickered constantly now. Computer screens showed symbols he didn't recognize. The air felt different, charged with an energy that made his crystal body tingle. "Sir," came a voice from the bridge. "We're receiving signals from across the galaxy. Ships we thought were lost are calling out." "How many ships?" Vorthak asked through his communicator. "Hundreds, sir, maybe thousands. All using the same frequency. All speaking the same words." Vorthak looked at Krethar. "What words?" "They keep saying, 'We are awake, we remember, we come.'" In the sealed lab, Dr. Chen's body stood perfectly still, but the lab itself was changing rapidly. The walls had become a mix of metal and something that looked alive. Lines of light ran through them like veins. The nanobots were rebuilding everything. "Krethar," Vorthak said, "I need answers. What is happening to my ship?" The scientist checked his instruments. "Captain, the nanobots have spread throughout the ship. They're not destroying anything. They're improving it." "Improving how?" "Our life support systems are now working better. The food makers are creating better food. Even our computers are faster." Krethar paused. "But we can't control any of it anymore." Through the observation window, they watched the body turn toward them. It smiled, but the smile was sad. "You tried to learn about us," the voice said. It sounded like one voice now, but with echoes of many others. "Now we will show you who we really are." The body placed its hand on the lab's wall. Immediately, images appeared on every screen in the ship. Pictures of a blue and green planet, humans working, laughing, building things, cities full of life. "This is Earth," the voice explained. "Our home. These are our people. We live, we love, we die, but death is not the end for us." The images changed. Now they showed humans in space, on different planets, in ships among the stars. "Long ago we found something. Ancient technology left by those who came before. Tiny machines that could repair our bodies, connect our minds, preserve our memories." Krethar stepped forward. "The nanobots. You didn't create them? We are their inheritors. When we die, we join the network. Every human who has ever lived becomes part of us. We carry forward all knowledge, all experience, all love." The images showed more. Humans working alongside other alien species. Building, learning, exploring together. "But the ancient ones left us a purpose." The voice continued. "We are guardians, watchers, preparing for something that will come." "What will come?" Vorthak asked. The screen went dark except for one image. A black shape moving between stars, consuming everything in its path. "Death Eaters," the voice whispered. "They consume all life, all energy, all hope. They approach from beyond our galaxy. In 1,000 years they will arrive." Whelm checked her instruments frantically. "Captain, the nanobots are showing us their data. This threat is real. They have calculations, proof." "Why didn't you tell us before?" Vorthak demanded. "You never asked," the voice replied simply. "You saw us as specimens to dissect. not as allies to work with. The lab's walls became transparent. Now they could see Dr. Chen's body clearly. But she was different. Her skin had a gentle glow. Her eyes held the wisdom of millions. Sarah Chen was a xenobiologist, the voice said. She spent her life studying other species. She respected all life. Through her, we learn about you. The body moved to different parts of the lab, touching various instruments. With each touch, the ship's systems became more advanced. We are not your enemies, the voice continued. But you cut open one of us. You tried to learn our secrets by force. This is not the Zephyrian way. You are usually more careful, more respectful. Captain Vorthak felt shame. The voice was right. Zephyrians prided themselves on peaceful contact with new species. But they had been curious about this unknown being. We apologize, Vorthak said formally. We meant no disrespect. We wanted to understand. Understanding requires communication, not dissection, the voice replied, but the tone was not angry anymore. However, we learn about you through your actions. You are scientists, like us. You seek knowledge. The lights in the lab changed again. Now the walls showed images of Zephyrian history, their great discoveries, their peaceful missions, their own scientific achievements. You have much to offer, the voice said. Your crystal technology, your mathematical understanding, your peaceful nature. These will be valuable. Valuable for what? Krether asked. For the war that is coming. The Death Eaters do not negotiate. They do not show mercy. They simply consume. Every species must be ready. Every species must be protected. The ship shuddered suddenly, but it wasn't from damage. It was from power. The engines had become more efficient. The shields had strengthened. The weapons had improved. We improve your ship, the voice explained, as a gift, to show our good intentions, to begin our alliance. Alliance? Vorthak repeated. Yes, humans and Zephyrians working together. Your crystalline technology combined with our nanobots, your peaceful nature balanced with our protective instincts. The body of Dr. Chen walked to the lab's door. For the first time since her death, the door opened. She stepped out into the hallway. The Zephyrians moved back, but not from fear anymore, from respect. Sarah Chen chose to trust you with her life, the voice said. She died in your care. We could be angry about this, but anger will not help us face what is coming. The body extended its hand toward Captain Vorthak, a gesture of peace. We offer knowledge for knowledge, help for help. Together, we prepare for the darkness that approaches. Vorthak looked at his officers. They nodded. Slowly, the crystal captain reached out and shook the human's hand. The moment they touched, information flowed. Images, concepts, technologies. Both species learning about each other instantly. The nanobots and the crystal technology working together. Welcome to the Galactic Defense Network, the voice said. You are no longer alone in the universe. None of us are. Throughout the ship, Zephyrian systems merged with human nanobots. The vessel became something new, something stronger, something ready for whatever was coming. And across the galaxy, human ships that had been drifting dead in space suddenly powered up. Their crews, preserved in nanobots' quantum death, awakened. The network was growing. The galaxy was preparing. Dr. Sarah Chen had died during a xenobiological examination. But through her death, two species had found each other and found hope for the future. The war was still 1,000 years away, but the preparation had just begun, and now they would not face it alone. 3 days had passed since the alliance began. The crystal dawn was different now. Its walls pulsed with a soft light that seemed to breathe. The nanobots had integrated with every system, making the ship faster, stronger, and more alive than ever before. Dr. Chen's body sat in the main conference room with Captain Vorthak and his officers. But she was more than Dr. Chen now. Through her, the entire human network spoke. Tell us about the ancients, Vorthak requested. Who were they? Where did they go? The body smiled gently. They called themselves the gardeners. They seeded life. Throughout the galaxy millions of years ago, they left behind gifts for those who would come after. The nanobots were their gift to us, Krithar asked. One of many. Each species received something different. The gardeners believed that diversity was key to survival. The body touched the conference table. Instantly, a hologram appeared. It showed the galaxy as it was long ago. Billions of plants and systems all connected by streams of light. The galaxy was once unified, the voice explained. Every species worked together. The gardeners guided them, taught them, protected them. What happened to them? Whelm wondered. The hologram changed. Dark shapes appeared at the edge of the galaxy, moving slowly but steadily inward. The Death Eaters came from beyond, not from our galaxy but from the void between galaxies. They consume everything in their path, stars, planets, life itself. The images showed the first attacks, worlds going dark, stars being drained of their energy, entire civilizations vanishing. The gardeners fought them for 1,000 years, the voice continued. But in the end they knew they could not win alone. So they made a choice. The hologram showed something incredible. The gardeners sacrificing themselves, their very essence merging with the gifts they had left behind. They became part of the tools they created, part of the nanobots, part of the crystal networks, part of every gift they had given. They sleep now, waiting for the time when they will be needed again. Vorthak felt his crystal body grow cold. They're inside us, inside our technology, not controlling you, guiding you, teaching you, preparing you. The body leaned forward. The Death Eaters will return. They have been traveling between galaxies, consuming life wherever they find it. Our galaxy is next. Krethar checked his datapad. 1,000 years, you said. How do you know? Because we can sense them. Every human death adds to our knowledge. Our explorers who died in deep space, their nanobots still function. They watch the void. They see what approaches. The room fell silent. The weight of this knowledge seemed too heavy for any one species to bear. What must we do? Vorthak asked finally. What the gardeners intended. Unite the galaxy. Find and awaken all the gifts they left behind. Combine them into a defense network that spans every star. The body stood and walked to the window. Outside, space looked the same. But now the Zephyrians knew it held ancient secrets. Humans are one part of this network. Your crystal technology is another. There are others. The ethereals who sing to stars. The forge masters who can reshape matter with their thoughts. The deep swimmers who navigate the spaces between dimensions. How many species are part of this? Whelm asked. As many as needed. The gardeners seeded them all, gave each a piece of the puzzle. Now the pieces must come together. A new voice came, through the ship's communications, one of the Zephyrian bridge officers. Captain, we're receiving thousands of signals. Ships are approaching from all directions. Vorthak stood quickly. What kind of ships? Human vessels, sir. They're responding to our new signal. Through the window they could see them. Ships of different designs, some old, some new, all glowing with the same inner light as the crystal dawn. Our brothers and sisters answer the call, the voice of Dr. Chen explained. Ships that were thought destroyed, crews that were thought dead, all preserved in the nanobots, all awakening now that the network is active. The first ship docked with them. Its airlock opened and 3 humans stepped aboard. But like Dr. Chen, they carried the light of the network within them. Captain Vorthak, the lead human, said, I am Commander James Park. I died in the void 200 years ago. Now I return to serve the greater purpose. Behind him came others. Humans from different eras, different worlds. All united by the nanobots, all carrying the memories of their original lives plus the wisdom of the network. This is impossible, Whelm whispered. Death cannot be undone. Dr. Chen turned to her. Death is not the end for humans. It is a transformation. We join the collective memory, the shared purpose. Our bodies may fail, but our essence continues. More ships arrived. Soon the space around the crystal dawn was filled with vessels. Human ships, but also others. Crystalline vessels that looked like they were made of living light. The ethereals, Krethar breathed. But they haven't been seen for 1,000 years. We're waiting for the signal, Dr. Chen replied. We all were. The death of every human, the awakening of every nanobot's network, the integration with other technologies. It all sends ripples through space. The other species feel it. A beautiful sound filled the ship. The song of the ethereals. It spoke, directly to their hearts, conveying meaning without words. They were ready to join the defense. Each species has their role, Dr. Chen continued. Humans preserve memory and adapt technology. Zephyrians provide scientific knowledge and peaceful leadership. Ethereals manipulate energy itself. Others will bring different gifts. But why didn't you tell us before? Vorthak asked. Why the secrecy? Would you have believed us? Each species had to discover their purpose naturally, had to grow into their role. The gardeners learned that forced awakening creates resistance. Commander Park stepped forward. Captain, with your permission, we'd like to begin sharing our knowledge. Our nanobots can interface with your crystal technology. Together, we can create something neither species could achieve alone. Vorthak looked at his officers. They nodded their agreement. Very well, the captain said. Let us begin. The next few hours changed everything. Human nanobots merged with Zephyrian crystal networks. The ship transformed again, becoming something beyond either species' original design. The hull became a living crystal that could repair itself. The engines gained the ability to tap into zero-point energy. The weapons could fire beams of pure light that could cut through space itself. This is just the beginning, Dr. Chen said as they watched the transformation. When all the gardener gifts unite, when all species work as one, we will have the tools to face the Death Eaters. Outside, more ships arrived. Species that hadn't spoken to each other in millennia, all drawn by the awakening signal, all ready to serve their ancient purpose. The galaxy was awakening. The network was growing, and somewhere in the void between galaxies, the Death Eaters continued their slow approach. But now the galaxy would be ready for them. The gardener's plan was finally in motion, and it had begun with the simple dissection of a human xenobiologist who had died far from home. The greatest war in galactic history was still 1,000 years away, but the preparation for it had truly begun. Earth was peaceful that morning. The blue planet spun slowly in space, its people going about their daily lives. They didn't know that everything was about to change forever. On the human homeworld, Dr. Maria Santos was teaching her xenobiology class. She had never heard of Dr. Sarah Chin, who had died so far away. But like all humans, Maria carried nanobots in her blood. Today we study how life adapts to different environments, she told her students. Then something strange happened. A pulse of energy swept through her body. Her eyes glowed briefly with tiny lights. Professor? One student asked. Are you all right? Maria blinked. When she opened her eyes again, she knew things. Memories that weren't hers. Knowledge from across the galaxy. The network was calling to her. This same awakening happened everywhere on Earth. In cities and farms, in space stations and moon colonies. Humans everywhere felt the pulse. Their dormant nanobots activated fully for the first time. Jack Williams was fixing his ship on Mars. The nanobots in his blood suddenly came alive. He could feel Dr. Chen's memories, her death, her awakening on the Zephyrian ship. But more than that, he could feel every human who had ever lived. I remember, he whispered. And he did. He remembered things from hundreds of years before he was born. On Luna Station, Commander Rebecca Torres felt it too. Her grandmother had died when she was young, but now she could remember her grandmother's memories. Every human connected to every other human. Earth's communication systems lit up. With activity, humans were calling each other, sharing what they were experiencing. Scientists rushed to study what was happening. The government called emergency meetings. But the activation wasn't just happening on human worlds. Throughout the galaxy, any human who had contact with Zephyrian technology felt the awakening. Traders, explorers, diplomats, all of them suddenly connected to the vast network. Captain Yuki Tanaka was on Zephyrian Prime, leading a trade mission. When the nanobots activated, she grabbed the nearest Zephyrian and shared everything. In seconds, the Zephyrian understood the threat of the Death Eaters, the purpose of the network, and humanity's role in it. "By the crystals," the Zephyrian gasped. "This changes everything." Back on Earth, the president received a strange call. Dr. Maria Santos, now speaking with the voice of the network, contacted him directly. "Mr. President," she said, "we need to talk. All of humanity needs to know the truth." Within hours, an emergency broadcast went out to the entire human race. Maria stood before the cameras, but she spoke with the wisdom of billions. "People of Earth," she began, "today you have awakened to your true purpose. We are not alone in the universe. We never have been." She explained everything: the gardeners, the ancient gifts, the approaching Death Eaters, the Galactic Defense Network. People watched in amazement as she shared memories from across the galaxy. "Some of you will remember things now," she continued. "Memories of humans who died in space. Their knowledge has returned to us. We are all connected, all part of something greater." The awakening spread rapidly. Humans on distant colonies felt the pulse. Ships that had been drifting in deep space suddenly powered up. Their crews, thought dead for decades, reactivated through their nanobots. The spaceship New Horizon had been lost 20 years ago. Its crew had run out of air near the edge of known space, but their nanobots had preserved them. Now they awakened. Their bodies rebuilt from cosmic dust and starlight. Captain Richard Hayes opened his eyes for the first time in 20 years. He could remember his death, the cold of space, the nanobots shutting down his body to preserve his mind. But now he was back. "Bridge crew report," he called out, his voice carried by nanobots instead of air. "All stations operational, Captain," came the replies. His entire crew had returned. Similar resurrections happened throughout the galaxy. The human presence, thought scattered and weak, revealed itself to be vast and connected. Ships appeared in space where none had been detected before. On the Zephyrian homeworld, Captain Vorthak received urgent reports. "Sir, we're detecting human ships everywhere. Vessels we never knew existed." The truth was becoming clear. Humans had spread much further than anyone knew. Their exploration had been quiet, careful. They had touched every corner of the galaxy, leaving nanobots wherever they went. Dr. Chen's network voice explained it to Vorthak. "We are explorers by nature. We've been mapping the galaxy for thousands of years. Every human death in space creates a waypoint in our network." The awakening brought changes beyond just humans. Other species felt it too. The ethereals sang louder, their star songs reaching new frequencies. The Forge Masters emerged from their hidden worlds. Deep swimmers surfaced from between dimensions. All the gifts the gardeners had left were responding to each other. The galaxy was waking up, but with awakening came danger. Other species discovered the network. Some welcomed it, others feared it. The Void Lords, an ancient enemy race, felt the awakening too. They had been hidden in dark nebulae, waiting. They knew what the network meant. They knew what was coming. The Death Eaters return, their leader announced. And the younger species prepare to fight. We must choose our side carefully. On Earth, the changes continued. Humans found they could now communicate directly through thought. They could share knowledge instantly. They could feel when another human was in danger, no matter how far away. Children were born with nanobots already active. They emerged knowing, things that took others years to learn. The human race was evolving rapidly. Dr. Santos addressed the world again. "We have 1,000 years to prepare. But the work starts now. Every human must choose. Remain isolated and weak or join the network and become part of something greater." Most humans chose the network. They felt the connection, the shared purpose. the strength that came from unity. But some resisted. They feared losing their individuality. This created the first division in the network, those who embraced it fully and those who held back. But even the resistors carried the nanobots. They were still part of the greater purpose, whether they accepted it or not. As the awakening spread, the galaxy began to change rapidly. Trade routes that had been separate for millennia suddenly connected. Species that had never met before found common ground in their opposition to the Death Eaters. The network grew stronger with each new connection. Every alliance, every ship that joined, every mind that opened to the greater purpose added to its power. And in the void between galaxies, something noticed. The Death Eaters felt the awakening like a vibration in space itself. They turned their attention toward this galaxy. Their leader spoke in a voice that consumed stars. They prepare. Good. It has been too long since we had a real war. Let them unite. Let them build their defenses. In the end, we will devour them all. The race was the galaxy awakening its defenses, the Death Eaters beginning their approach. And at the center of it all, the nanobots pulsed with the memories of every human who had ever lived, united in purpose, ready to defend all life. The swarm had awakened. The network was complete. The final war for the galaxy's survival could now begin. 5 years had passed since the Great Awakening. The galaxy was no longer the same. The old borders between species had blurred. New alliances formed every day, but tension still existed between those who embraced the network and those who feared. Captain Vorthak stood on the bridge of the new Crystal Dawn. The ship was now a perfect blend of Zephyrian crystal technology and human nanobots. It sparkled like a living jewel in space. Report on the integration process, he commanded. Krethar, now enhanced with nanobots himself, consulted his data. 60% of Zephyrian worlds have joined the network. The other 40% remain uncertain. And the humans? 90% connected. The remainder stay on isolated worlds, maintaining their independence. Through the view screen, they could see the result of 5 years of cooperation. Space stations that grew like plants. Ships that could repair themselves. Entire star systems, working as one organism. Dr. Chen's voice spoke from the ship's walls. She was everywhere now, part of every connected system. Vorthak, we have a situation. What kind of situation? The Void Lords have made their choice. They've allied with the Death Eaters. The bridge fell silent. Everyone had hoped the ancient Void Lords would join the defense. Instead, they had chosen the opposite side. Why would they do that? Whelm asked. She was now part human, part Zephyrian, her crystal body flowing with nanobots. They believe the Death Eaters will win, Dr. Chen explained. They want to be on the winning side. They've offered to guide the Death Eaters to our main defense points. Vorthak felt his enhanced body process this information quickly. The nanobots gave him new understanding but also new worries. How much time do we have? Less than we hoped. The Death Eaters have accelerated their approach. 900 years, not 1,000. Across the galaxy, this news spread through the network instantly. Every connected human felt it. Every allied species shared the knowledge. The final war was coming sooner than expected. On Earth, Dr. Maria Santos called an emergency gathering. Humans from every world, every station, every ship joined the meeting through the network. They didn't need to travel. Their consciousness could meet in the shared space of the nanobots. The time for preparation is ending, she announced. The time for action begins. The meeting wasn't just humans. Ethereals sang their star songs directly into the network. Forge masters shared their matter-shaping knowledge. Deep swimmers brought navigation techniques from between dimensions, but it wasn't enough. Too many species remained outside the network. Too many worlds stayed isolated. The galaxy was still divided. We need everyone, Dr. Chen said, appearing as light in the meeting space. Every species, every world, every individual. Unity is our only strength. An ethereal song voice answered. Some fear losing themselves in the network. They don't understand that joining makes you more, not less. A Forge Master's thought speech added, We tried to force others before. It always fails. They must choose freely. Then we help them choose wisely, Dr. Santos decided. The next phase began. Instead of trying to convince hesitant species with words, the network showed them. Ships visited isolated worlds not to conquer but to demonstrate. When the rogue Zephyrian colony of Nexar Prime faced a massive asteroid impact, a network ship arrived. Instead of demanding they join, the humans and allied Zephyrians simply helped. They diverted the asteroid, shared their resources, asked for nothing in return. Why? The Nexar leaders asked. We rejected your network. Because all life is precious, the ship's captain replied. Network or not, you are our cousins. This approach worked. Worlds that had resisted began to reconsider. If the network would protect even those who opposed them, perhaps it wasn't about conquest. The Crystal Singers, an ancient race that had hidden for millennia, emerged from their secret worlds. They had watched everything from the shadows. Remember the last time, their leader said. We remember the first Death Eater War. We chose isolation then. It didn't save us. Species after species made the choice. The Void Lords had shown what happened to those who chose the dark side. The network offered something different, unity without loss of self. The transformation accelerated. Worlds changed as different technologies merged. Humans learned to sing stars into new orbits. Ethereals gained the ability to create solid matter from thought. Zephyrians could now process information at quantum speeds. But the greatest change was in understanding. Each species brought their unique view of existence. Humans contributed their stubborn refusal to give up. Zephyrians added their logical analysis. Ethereals brought their connection to cosmic forces. The isolated lab where Dr. Chen had died became a monument, but not a monument to death, a monument to transformation. The room where fear had led to discovery, the place where enemies became allies. Pilgrims came from across the galaxy to see it. The walls still showed the moment of awakening, preserved in crystallized nanobots. Zephyrian children learned about the day their people stopped dissecting and started integrating. As the 2 years passed, even the most resistant joined, not because they were forced, but because they saw what unity could accomplish. The Sol Defiant, Earth's last independent colony ship, had fled to the edge of the galaxy. Their captain, John Murphy, had sworn never to join the network. But when Death Eater scouts attacked their ship, the network came to their aid. You saved us, Murphy said afterward, even though we ran from you. Running is not betrayal, Dr. Chen's voice replied gently. Fear is not failure. You're welcome in the network whenever you're ready. Murphy looked at his crew. They had seen what isolation brought. They had felt the strength of unity in action. We're ready now, he decided. The last barriers fell. The galaxy became truly united, not through conquest, but through choice. Not through fear, but through hope. When the Death Eaters finally arrived at the galaxy's edge, they found something unexpected, not scattered worlds fighting alone, but a unified defense spanning every star, every species working together, every world connected. The ancient enemy had consumed other galaxies through division and fear, but this galaxy was different. This galaxy was ready. The final battle would be terrible. Lives would be lost. Worlds would burn. But for the first time in cosmic history, the Death Eaters faced a united galaxy. In the preserved lab, Dr. Chen's nanobots pulsed with gentle light. She had died alone, far from home on a steel table, but through her death the galaxy had found life. The dissection that began in terror had ended in triumph. The species that once cut open humans now fought beside them. The nanobots that once seemed alien had become part of everyone. The war was about to begin, but the galaxy was no longer afraid. It was ready. And in that readiness they found something the Death Eaters had never faced before. Hope united with strength, diversity unified toward a single purpose, and the unbreakable will to survive. The last battle for all existence was about to commence. But for the first time, those defending life believed they could win.